I have 5:15. I shall call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We shall have roll call, please, Carolina.
Councilmember Dallin?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Wilkerson?
Yes.
Mayor Walters?
Yes. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to this April 28th City Council meeting. And I guess once again, in staying with our past introductions, we'll start out with Mayor Waller's quote for the day. I selected this quote from a Mr. William Perky. Some of you may have heard of him. He was an educator, professor from the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. He was a veteran, served in the Korean War. So he has a message for us today. You gotta dance like there's nobody watching. Love like you'll never be hurt. Sing like there's nobody listening. And live like it's heaven on earth. I like that. Dance like there's nobody watching, Brian. Let her go, right? Okay.
It's better not to.
Okay,
They are.
moving on. I'd like to see that, Brian. We'll entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda. Well, I do have I guess at least one correction here. And it's under other business. We'll speak more about this a little later, but it has to be. We're gonna invite Becky Young and Jason Dingman to come. That'll be our first Tuesday meeting in May, on May 12th. They're just gonna give us a state of the county, state of the state address, like they normally do. Just give us an update on law enforcement and just kind of explain where we're at with that, and just kind of an update, because if you'll recall, I think in that transition from Becca to Zoe, there was some negotiations that took place. I think Brian and Jeff were involved, and I think the communication sort of broke down there, and I was talking to Becky Young today about it, and she thought it'd be a good idea. We both mutually agreed it'd be good if she just comes in and kind of gives us an update on where we're at. So I think that'd be good for all of us, and we do have some new people here, and it'd be beneficial just to get caught up on the contract, how it works, and all that good stuff. So that'll be under other business. And I think we can take the informational items as they come along. But did anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, under citizens' comments, Mary Elizabeth has asked to approach the council, so I'll let her have the floor.
Debbie Stark was good people. She showed up at city council meetings. She volunteered to be on city boards. She cared about this town. She gave a damn. May she rest in peace. So now we're going to talk about the thing I'm concerned about. There's a crosswalk from 8th Street across the main street across to ELC. That's where I'm going, to the exercise place. There are two signs. The crosswalk painting is essentially gone. Last Thursday, because I'm careful, I look carefully, there was no one coming or going, so I walked into the crosswalk. I was in the middle of the street when a truck came. He didn't stop. So he drove past me, and since he was in a business truck, I was annoyed, and I called. And I talked to the person who was driving the truck, who apologized to me. And what he said was he could not see me. because the truck that had passed me on my side of the street blocked his vision and he could not see that I had stepped into the crosswalk. I figured out that 25 years ago, which is a quarter of a century, I had come to that city council and asked about putting a light on that intersection so that pedestrians would be better protected. I even called the state of Minnesota and found out they would help support putting a light there. I didn't come to the subsequent meeting. According to the newspaper report, the council at that time believed that 3 stoplights in town would be confusing to residents. So they rejected the notion that there be a stoplight there. And now I have come back to say, fine, you don't want to put a stoplight there. Surely there is a way to put some kind of a indicator or button or something so that trucks would realize that someone was crossing on the crosswalk. It is a state law that you stop. And I appreciate we don't have a police department, so we can't enforce that. But I was hoping maybe a creative city council could figure out a way to protect pedestrians crossing the street lawfully and possibly dangerously.
Is that, I'm sorry, is that right on Main Street? 8th
Yes.
Street and Main Street, or over here by DeToys? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes,
That's a state highway. We don't have any jurisdiction on that, do we? I mean, that's,
Not technically, no.
okay. I just want to clear, I was going 8th Street and I thought you said that, so I was making sure that's where it
But there
was.
might be something we could probably do if we have a conversation with
Yeah,
MinDOT
I
and
can
see.
reach out to MinDOT and see. I just spoke to their traffic safety engineer not that long ago to follow up on the conversation we had at the last council meeting regarding 7th Street's traffic concerns with people using the ball field. So I can reach back out to them and see if we can talk about some kind of traffic calming, or I know there's like those flashers that you can purchase for people if they're crossing, just so they light up a little bit, so it's easier for the drivers coming in to see that they can slow down and then just wait for the pedestrians to finish crossing and then they can keep going.
I know it is difficult to see when you're sitting at that stop sign right by DeToys facing west, because there's always vehicles sitting right there to park, and, you know, whenever I try to stay off the road, first of all, but when you do pull out, you gotta almost just inch your way out so you can see beyond the cars that are parked there. So I get it, so I think it'd be worth checking into.
Yeah, I can look into it.
And with that fitness center, there's people there during dark, whether it's at night or in the morning.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Okay, would there be anybody else that would like to approach the council that hasn't asked already? Okay, seeing none, we have no public hearings tonight. We shall move on to reading and approval of our minutes from April 14th, 2026, and those would be our regular meeting minutes.
I will move approval of the regular meeting from April 14 minutes.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve our April 14th regular meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now we have the condensed version of those same minutes from April 14th, 2026.
I'll move approval of the condensed version of the meeting from April 24th, 2026.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the condensed version of the April 14th, 2026 meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we shall move on to our consent agenda for tonight, which consists of the audit of city bills, our City of Morris Tree Board meeting minutes from March 17th, 2026, and then we have item C, our raffle license report. And I will move approval of the items on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the items on the consent agenda. I'll bring it back to the city council for discussion on any of the items listed there. I will say, probably the lowest dollar amount for our April bills, $167,000. I'm not quite sure I've ever seen it quite that low. So, aren't you the thrifty one? Just came on board and things are already starting to go down.
Checked in with Maggie and Whitney today just to make sure there was nothing I was missing.
I love it. Anything from the city council on that? Looks like the tree board's been busy. That time of the year, getting ready for spring planting and all that good stuff. Tree giveaways May 15th and 16th, just again, another shout out for that. For those out there in the listening audience. Okay. Hearing nothing from any members of the council, we have a motion and a second to approve the items on the consent agenda. I'll just ask for a voice vote of approval on that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we shall move on to petitions, requests, and communications. We have a change order number 7 for the Morris Municipal Liquor Store, and I'll just ask our city manager to speak to that, please.
Yeah, pretty straightforward, I guess, if you take a look at it. I think our liquor store manager just wanted to kind of match sort of having all of the cabinet spaces, different like cubby spaces, so they asked to have a change order to put those in place. That's that casework and extra shelves. Had some door stops in there, but yeah, checking in with Whitney on it. Really not much else to report on that, just getting some fine details in place there as we get ready for opening the new store up. But yeah.
It's exciting, getting closer.
Yep.
Any discussion on that change order?
Looks like we're just adding some more shelves in the front,
Yep.
installation, door stops, okay.
Mhm. Yep. I think it was just intention is to try and match like sort of how they're organizing the current store a
Sure.
little bit, so it helps them with the transition a bit easier, but.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge amount of money we're talking about here. It was $1,200, something like that.
Yeah,
12.
I'm still on schedule.
Yeah.
So everything's looking up there, so that's exciting.
All right.
I'll make the motion to change, for the change order, number 7 on the Morris Municipal Liquor Store.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We got a motion and a second to approve the change order number 7 for our Morris Municipal Liquor Store. I'll just ask for a voice vote of approval on that. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, ordinances and resolutions. We have a resolution before us approving a conditional use permit for Denko 2 LLC. And once again, I'll ask City Manager Johnson if you would please just maybe touch on that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So this is a continuation from the conditional use permit conversation that was held at the Planning Commission last Tuesday, wherein they approved or recommended that the City Council approve a conditional use permit for Denko 2 LLC. So Denko 2 LLC has applied for this CUP to put in a railroad spur track system and to bring into compliance a non-conforming corn storage site and scale house in the heavy industrial zoning district there. So I'm recommending that the city council pass a resolution to approve the CUP permit for Denko 2 LLC without conditions to allow for the construction of a railroad track spur track to use for the storage of rail cars and to ship ethanol and other ethanol byproducts, to approve the non-conforming use scale house and corn storage, which is already there, I think, as you know. So again, the planning commission met last Tuesday to consider the CUP from Denko, asked some good questions and got good responses from the Denko representatives that were there, and all of their concerns, I think, were addressed both on the planning commission level and the concerns that were passed down to the city from the DNR. So that was also emailed to you yesterday, I believe, and that was also included in the planning commission information that was sent out to those commissioners as well. So we've got the CUP application attached to it, the project description with the layout and some site maps. And I've got actually some higher resolution site maps if folks are kind of finding it hard to read or see, I suppose. I've got these two if you want to text these down at all. But just kind of helps shows the project area a little bit better so you get a better feeling of what the site's actually looking like, because the black and white images are admittedly very hard to follow. We recently approved rezoning for this area, so this is a continuation of that conversation as well. Again, the conversation that Blaine and I have been having with the DNR is that their concerns that they expressed from rezoning were consistent with the concerns that they had with the CUP, so that's why the planning commission felt that all of the concerns had been addressed, at least from their perspective. So we felt comfortable there. And then, yeah, again, so we're asking you to, or I'm recommending you to approve the CUP. And then additionally, I wanted to give a mention too that MnDOT has given $1 million in a grant to construct a new rail siding that connects the Denko 2 facility to the mainline BNSF connection, which will enable that on-site loading and rail shipment of ethanol to help them get that going a little bit quicker, and includes installing that new track, switches, grading, and then a rail car loading area as well. But I think that's all I'd like to say, I suppose, on that, unless anybody has any questions for me.
Oh, thanks for the update. Yeah, the $1 million grant will go a long ways, I think.
Yeah. We can let folks from Denko speak on that if they'd like, but yeah, it's an exciting win to have city invested in some kind of project like that. That's got MnDOT's interest peaked as well, so yeah.
I think this is just the next step in what we've already started doing here.
Right.
Is to get in the CUP here, to go along with the change in zoning, and to get this project underway. So I will move approval of the resolution approving a conditional use permit for Denko 2 LLC.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Would there be any further discussion on that resolution? Nice to support a local business. It'll
Absolutely.
be exciting to see that come to fruition. We'll just ask for roll call vote in that resolution. Carolina?
Councilmember Solby,
Yes.
Dolan,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Wallers.
Yes. All right, city manager's newsletter. We're just cooking right along here.
Yeah. All right, so the first item I want to mention before I accidentally forget about it, because it's not on my newsletter, is something that was planned just earlier today. So our public works director, and Woodseth, the engineering firm that's hired to handle the 7th Street project, they're going out tomorrow to go and take a look at that road to sort of itemize all of the problems that they are seeing at that street at this time, so they have a good idea before they get started on the project again in this construction season, so they know exactly what they need to fix before going into all of it. So that's exciting. Happy that that's gonna be moving along again.
Can I stop you 1 second?
Oh, yep.
I know the road is, that's one piece of it. The approach or the aprons that kind of lead into the driveways. Of course, it came to my attention because obviously my mother lives right there, and my brother has since bought that property, but whoever does that part of that, I think that's a separate person that was responsible for that. I don't think there was enough gravel that was inlaid there, and I know some people had little aprons that were actually, I think, that led from the street, just approaches into the driveway, so I think there just needs to be a little dirt work or something, more sand or gravel hauled in there in some cases, because in my mother's place, for example, it was just low, and there was a big significant bump there, so that might be worth mentioning too, because I think it's a different party that did that portion.
Yeah, that very well could have been. I know, there was a lot of settling that happened after all the rain that,
Yeah.
the community got last year, so I think John Riley actually saw some kind of the same things that you had mentioned.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of, just that weird ground settling after all the rain came in, where things are just
So that
firming
gets
up a bit,
addressed
but-
and somebody can come in and obviously fix that, because I
Yeah.
think that's the right thing to do. And I know they seeded the grass there, so we'll have to see how that comes along.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, that's all I had there, sorry.
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but.
No, not an interruption. That was what I was chatting about, so that's good. All right, so back to the newsletter. Street sweeping opportunity for Morris businesses. The city will be doing their annual sweeping for parking lots the week of May 6th. So this is a free opportunity to businesses. All you have to do is fill out a form and then submit it to the city, whether it's in person or via email, and then we'll get it to our public works team, and they'll get your business parking lot swept out. And then this was also posted to our city's Facebook page and on our website the week of April 27th, this week. If you have any questions about that, don't hesitate to call City Hall. Nuisance weeds official notice. So in compliance with our city ordinances, the city is publishing an official notice to all property owners and occupants within the city of Morris to remove all weeds or grasses that are 8 inches in height and or before they are about to go to seed. So this is an annual thing that happens. We're just giving our official notice to make sure that folks know that the growing season is upon us, and that if you don't take care of your lawns, that they will get unmanageable very quickly. So this will also be published the week of April 27th in the newspaper, so I believe that edition will go out tomorrow. Oh, it is in today's paper. Okay, so it's in the paper today. Thank you, Carolina. And then that will also be posted on the city's Facebook page.
What about you get this No Mow May, is that what they call it? And then we get signs in their yards about protect the bees or whatever
Protecting
this, and they
pollinators.
got all this stuff. Still mow it, right? Isn't that what the
That's-
city ordinance says?
That's a
You're
city
in the
ordinance
city,
practice, yes.
mow the lawn.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted clarification there. I think that's something that's great to do if you want to get a piece of property that's outside of town, but inside of town, that's what we have these in place for.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, well
good.
said. All right, and then tree board community planting. So again, I've got a map here if you guys are interested, because I think the black and white one didn't pick up the highlighter too well. So we've got a map here, which is also detailed a bit in the tree board meeting minutes, that just kind of calls out where exactly those plantings will be taking place. So this will be the annual planting event for Arbor Month. It'll be on Wednesday, May 20th from 4 to 6 p.m. in Jenstead Park and neighboring boulevards. And they do have a backup rain date for May 26th, just in case. But because there was quite a bit of buckthorn and diseased elm trees that were taken out of that area, the Public Works Director thought that it was a great spot to have that annual tree planting event this year. And there will be approximately 30 trees that will be planted, and then I've got about roughly 5 honey locusts, coffee trees, plane trees, poplars, elms, and crab apples. So come on out, it should be a good event. I've had to send out a couple nuisance and junk letters, which will be the first couple that we have sent out with this new ordinance, so I haven't heard anything back from those property owners just yet, but I'm assuming I'll be able to chat with them soon, I hope, just to make sure that we get in compliance, or at least try to work with our public works team to help them take care of the situation if they don't chat with the city about it or make any effort to get into compliance on their own.
I think, just something to add there,
Yeah.
on 7th Street, I know before you came, Rebecca was working with the person on, not 7th Street, Pacific Avenue.
Okay.
Was that Mr. Moon?
I
Is that
can't
right?
remember his name.
Remember who that was, Jeff? Right on, right
Mr.
on.
Doug Moon?
Yeah, and she was working with him about
Follow up.
follow-up
and
into.
Giving some time.
Yeah, gave him some time, but I think, since the transition and all this, I think
Yeah.
we might be a long ways behind that. I think that my observations is that it's been getting added to instead of subtracted from.
Okay.
Because I believe that we have actually had court proceedings against him for that.
Okay.
I think we should revisit that.
Yeah, I can take a look back in my files that were left behind from Blaine and Becca and see if I can find those nuisance letters or any kind of court proceeding documents that would come from Mr. Moon.
We haven't initiated court proceedings
Okay.
against him yet.
Okay.
That'd be something that we would take it the direction of the council, and the last direction was, to work with him.
Correct.
So, I think if you wanted to proceed under the new nuisance, you could issue him a new
Sure.
letter, especially if it's been added to, and
Sure.
that would actually probably simplify the process a lot.
Okay.
Okay.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tegan.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. And then I guess that's all I wanted to say on that item. 7th Street safety concerns. So this was something that we talked about last council meeting. With that street being narrowed on that project, there is some uneasiness, I think, about still having the double parking on both sides of that highway coming into town when you have all the activity, especially seasonally with the ball field right there. So I reached out to MnDOT's traffic safety engineer for those state aid roads, and chatting with Germa is his name, Jeff Kuhn with Widseth, who's our main contact on the 7th Street project, and then Russ, our public works director. It sounds like the city can go about restricting those specific areas on that street as we would like, and that could be informally something that we just handle like with operations. I just can chat with Russ about making some temporary signage out there as it is busier for ball season. Or if we wanted to do it by a resolution, we can do it that way, so it's a little bit more formal too, if the council's interested in that. But as far as formal proceedings go on MnDOT's end, they don't have any reasons that they would need a resolution, I guess, to see that play out in a formal process.
Is the road wide enough to park on both sides? I mean, is it striped already?
No, it's not.
So
It's
it's
not
not striped.
It's not striped.
If you look, it is narrower.
When they do stripe it, is it going to have enough to park on both sides?
It's gonna be tight. I mean,
Yeah.
they can park on both sides, but if you look, you can see as you get if you just go past where College Drive is, where you go into the in drive for the college, you can see the road just starts to cut in, like,
Yeah.
it's out here and then it kinda just, so
Sure.
it's noticeably narrower.
Yeah, I believe it went from 12 feet to 11-foot lanes, chatting with Widseth about it. And it said that with those measurements, it still is fine from MnDOT's eyes of having that double parking on both sides. But if the city council and residents feel that there is that safety concern, especially seasonally with all of the traffic for the ball fields, then that's something that we can definitely take care of locally to just try to kind of curb any kind of danger or
Reduce speed limits in there?
Reduce
drop it
speed
down
limits.
to 20.
Yeah.
I mean, something to slow down on that traffic area until you get out past
Right.
the access or into the ball. I mean,
Right.
just might be a good idea with the traffic that we have out there pretty much every night, starting real shortly through all summer. Just
Yeah.
might be a good idea just to limit the speed in there.
Yeah.
I think if you look at it with Russ and maybe even talk to the park board, would they, like, is this the one-sided, would, to me, would take care of it. We have many streets in Morris that are just one-sided
Yeah.
parking for that reason, to keep, so it's easier to drive 2 cars down there.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to do a resolution and do all that at this point.
I think it'd be good for the park board. You got Tony Reimers and Mark
Yeah,
Peterson on there.
they'll,
that have good
they'll
insight.
So
just
that they can
ask them what
weigh
their
in.
thoughts are.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Thank you, Councilmember Gullerson.
And it wouldn't hurt to even, look into getting them flashing lights, cause if you're on your way to Glenwood, if you look by Minnewaska Area School there's, when the lights are flashing, there's a warning there to just, slow your speed down, so maybe even something like that would help too.
Sure.
I don't, as much traffic as that road gets, I don't think we can err too much. I think we want to
Yeah.
err on the safe side.
Which is sort of, why the narrowing was made in the first place, is to sort of subconsciously make those drivers feel a little bit more like, oh, I gotta slow down here, I'm coming out of this main bustling highway and I'm heading into a residential area, so, yeah, it's definitely something that is perceived, I think, across the state when those roads are getting narrowed, because it's happening, I know it's happening in my hometown of Ada. People are like, oh my gosh, we're used to having these 44-foot roads, and all of a sudden we're coming back down. But yeah, I will chat with Russ and the park board about it and see what they think, and then, yeah, come back to you and see if they recommend anything different from what we've heard tonight, but.
I mean, what is the major concern? Safety of people walking across the streets?
I
You
think-
can't see,
Or
so I
is
drove, I brought it up last time at the last meeting, because I drove down that street one Friday when there was a baseball tournament, and there were cars parked on both sides, and you really couldn't see,
If anybody was coming out between them or
no,
anything
not at
like
all,
that?
and there were a couple of
Especially
kids
the
there, but
little
it was
kids.
really, you slowed down, but it was really,
Right.
while you can get through there,
It's tight.
Yeah.
It's also not well lit. in that area.
Well, no,
Yeah,
no.
at night.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to keep the just to keep one side
Yeah.
free and open, so
Right.
whatever that would be, if it's the
Mhm.
sidewalk side or the other
Well,
side.
it would be probably the right-hand side or the south side would make the most sense, and then you went across the street.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I'd be interested to hear, like, Mark and Tony and the rest of the park board's thought on that, just because
Yeah.
how far down that street people do end up parking on
They
summer
do,
nights. They
but-
might-
Yeah.
Yeah, but
the other thing too, with the new indoor facility, that's going to have traffic there a lot
Yeah.
more, while the parking lot could probably handle that.
yeah, well, and the college baseball team plays there
Yeah.
now, and they didn't.
Yeah, it's.
Fine.
Is there a sidewalk on the south side?
Yep.
Yes,
There is.
Yep.
yep,
All right, so maybe, could be a compromise too. Maybe you do let them park, but not a certain amount right by the field that gives you a gap of open space to transfer to. I mean, so if you're parking down further or a little bit further than the openings, you can walk to them,
Yeah.
be visible,
mm-hmm,
and then, get across, or have your crosswalk there so that they're not, obviously, because that's what people are gonna do. They're probably gonna come down the sidewalk and then pop through the cars to where they can get across. I mean, that could be a combination of, we don't need, maybe 4, 5, 6 car lengths, and then you could have parking on each side or something.
It's not bad.
Just an idea.
True.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
briefly did talk about putting a sidewalk on the north side too. I know I mentioned that several times, but it didn't seem like it gained a lot of traction, but would have been nice to have a sidewalk on both sides of the road too, but
Well, and
we
to your
don't.
point, when they are having like a tournament there, they usually have gates, so people are actually having to walk through
Mhm.
the main entrance, so then that would work really well for that, for
Mhm.
situations like that when it is really busy.
I don't think that a sidewalk is not out of the question there, Mayor. I mean,
could add
if
one.
we're getting a lot of, parking on there or coming down from the side or that way. That, and then also it's gonna go past the new baseball association building too, so,
Yeah.
you know, to connect with that, if you're walking from the field over, we should really look at that. That might be something that we should do
Yeah,
to help out.
Be nice
It's a
to
good
connect
idea
the
there, too.
systems, yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
okay.
The only other thing that I had on my newsletter was that I'll be attending the MCMA conference in Nisswa from April 29th to May 1st. So I'm leaving tomorrow around 2 to get there for a check-in by 4:30. I've been asked to speak to the city county managers attending about something that connects to our experiences in city management and public service. So something close to my heart. Looking back on it, not at the time, but I used to pull bolters quite a bit for sugar beet farmers in my family and around around Ada and the Red River Valley. So I'll be talking about how, reflecting back on those experiences, how my time in local government reminds me of pulling bolters, which is sort of niche, I understand, for some people. So I'll be starting first by explaining what a sugar beet is versus the beets that you eat in salads or, you know, in soups or something. I don't know. So yeah, should be fun and get some good ideas from other folks in different cities across the state, and hopefully I can bring some of those back to Morris and see if we can do something that makes sense here for the community. But yeah, I'm excited. It should be a good conference.
Good luck.
Thanks.
All right, any questions for our city manager off her newsletter? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to board updates. If anybody has anything they'd like to share from their various boards, now would be a good time. I guess I can share a couple of things while you're pondering. On the chamber, the chamber has some news. Our chamber director, Sarah Lindquist, has accepted a position in economic development with the city of Wilmer. She had originally thought she was going to be leaving in September, but now it's because she just got offered a new position. She's going to be resigning sooner. We have about a month, and she's going to be gone. So we're going to be looking for a new chamber director. So I'll just give a shout out if anybody's interested in that. We haven't even met as a board yet, and since she announced her resignation and gave us the timeline, but so we'll have to get to work and figure that out. But everybody just stay tuned, because we will be looking for a new chamber director. Sarah has done a great job, and I just want to give her a shout out. And I think anybody that's followed the chamber, I've been on that board since I've been on city council, and over the years we've had 2 or 3 different chamber directors, but Sarah's done a great job. If you look at all the different activities that she's pulled together, and she's leaving the chamber in a very strong place. So just want to give her a shout out for all her hard work. I guess while I'm speaking, I can just share with you, I had the opportunity to go to last Thursday, the Spring Mayor's Meetup in Waite Park. I attended that, and there was 26 mayors that gathered there from around the state. We met at Waite Park at the Ledge Amphitheater. I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity to be there, but we did have an opportunity to tour it. What an awesome facility that is. And of course our tour guide just happens to be the aunt of our city manager, Zoe Johnson, Shauna Johnson. She happens to be the city administrator there in Waite Park, has been for 30 years, and she was actually our tour guide. And she was involved in that project since day one, as well as a lot of the other development that's happened in Waite Park over the years. What a phenomenal place. I mean, they attract big venues from all over the country. As far as annual revenues, they generate anywhere from $5 to $7 million a year in revenue at that location, and it's just basically carved out of an old rock quarry. So it's very scenic. If you ever get an opportunity to go to a concert there, highly recommend it. It'd be fun. Little River Band's playing in June, first week in June. How about a team building experience, huh?
Great,
That'd be
yeah.
great, huh? Yeah, it seats anywhere from 3,000 that you can actually seat in there, and then probably another 2,000 standing. So it's a rather big facility. Total cost of that project was between 20 and $25 million. It's a very impressive in a lot of different ways, but probably the most impressive thing was the collaboration that took place between the 4 different cities that were involved. It was Wade Park, St. Joe, I think Sartell, and we're still trying to figure out the other one.
Yeah.
She mentioned it, I
Rice.
can't remember. But there was 4 of the smaller communities that were involved, and what they did is they imposed a 0.5% sales tax in all of their cities, and they collected that sales tax revenue, and that helped pay for this facility, along with they were able to get a $7 million bond they also were able to get from the state. So when you talk about collaboration, you know, sometimes the vision that group, city council and of all those cities really had is they should be applauded. It's quite the place. Let's see, I think that's all I really had, if anybody else has anything. Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to other business. We already kind of briefly discussed this. We'll look forward to having Becky Young and Jason Dingman come into our first meeting in May. That'll be our May 12th meeting, and they'll just give us an update on what's going on with the county and law enforcement and all that good stuff. Any other business to come that you guys can think of? Otherwise, we'll move on to informational items. As far as informational items, we just talked about it briefly. There's, at 6 o'clock here, there's the MPCA is holding their public meeting over at Old Number 1 South Side. So I think as soon as we're finished up here, I think I know I'll be going over there. I'd encourage anybody else has the opportunity to attend. It should be pretty informational, to say the least. Okay, would there be any other business to come before the council? Hearing none,